I hate to break it to you, and I love you too, and I have a tremendous respect for your intellect and everything, but there's a much greater chance of 1% that you're wrong. Okay? You seem to think that because it seems, and I'm not even going to admit that it is the truth, but it seems that a majority of voices are with your side. No one thought Hillary Clinton could win because, the poll said it was like 80% chance. Well, it's still 20% chance that it wasn't going to be Trump. It wasn't going to be Hillary. And that's what happened. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think it's even more with medical. You use the term misinformation. Whose misinformation? The misinformation that I got from the United States government?
Bill Maher brought on this woke idiot here, Sean Penn, onto his podcast, the Club Random Podcast. And once again, Bill Maher is shredding his own woke guests for just absolutely unhinged comments. I can't believe people still think like this guy thinks to this day. And he thinks he's so woke that he has to get shut down by someone like Bill Maher. Anyway, let's get into this clip here where Bill Maher destroys his own woke guests for ridiculous comments about lockdowns and Donald Trump and so many other things. Let's check it out.
No, you're talking about what I wanted to say. This will get you back on track.
Oh.
Define fringe.
5%. 5 to 10% is fringe, I would say. I don't know if this is true now, maybe it's more, but I would say woke people I still think they're actually a fringe. I mean, most of the people, 80% of the tweets are from 10% of the people who tweet,
Okay.
That's a fringe, but fringes can be very powerful.
But fringe has a kind of demeaning connotation.
Which is why I don't like it when you used it, because it doesn't accurately describe.
Let me tell you what I mean by fringe then.
Okay.
Fringe can be an absence of consciousness of interdependence. Fringe.
Wow, that was so profound. He really thought he cooked there. He was like, I feel like a modern day philosopher right now. That was just unbelievably profound from this guy.
Can be those who are misinformed or those who, for reasons beyond their control. I think, for example, it is a fringe that does not have a world perspective in terms of having traveled. Sometimes for socioeconomic reasons, others for a lack of curiosity. So you only have about 28% of Americans who have a fucking passport.
What does that have to do?
Well, you've traveled the world. Does it not give you a different view, a larger view of perspective?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because a lot of the people who were saying that we shouldn't allow other points of view on Twitter and so forth were against points of view that were used in European countries. Sweden did better, they're saying, than any other European country, even Norway, and they followed less stringent guidelines than we did by far. They kept the schools open. They weren't masking children. They initially
isolated the elderly.
Yes, exactly, which is what you should do.
And it ended up in calamity. Now,
in Sweden, it did not. This just came out.
It did. Should I get my phone out and Google it?
No, no. I'm sure you.
But it's a good example of, look, again, circling back to the beginning, is that because I have so much respect for you that every time I hear you talk about it, I do question my own position.
Good. And that's why we're here.
And that's what I think we do need more of, is that, and we've talked, I have great friends who are militantly on the other side of the political spectrum. And I've been able to keep those friendships and nurture them to a kind of higher level during this chaotic time, let's say the Trump time, let's say since 2016, where I just made a decision that, if that 1% chance that I'm wrong is the reality, I want to keep challenging it.
Well, I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, I feel like Bill Maher's about to absolutely cook this guy, because he is wrong, and the statistics prove that he's wrong, and everything that we found out since all the lockdowns and everything like that from, leaks from the government, whistleblowers, and Donald Trump taking office and exposing a lot of this BS, like everything that we found out has pointed towards these people being wrong. The thing is, no matter how much evidence there is, no matter how many people like Bill Maher wake up and try to tell these people, like Bill's about to do right here, that they were wrong, they're never going to admit it, because they're just going to say, every time they're faced with facts or evidence or logic, they're just going to say, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist, Bill. Bill Maher is buying into right-wing conspiracy theory. That's all they're going to say. They don't want to, they're not here for the truth, man. None of these people have any interest in truth whatsoever. They're only here so that they can exist in a comfy little echo chamber, so you don't have to acknowledge the uncomfortable truth that they have been wrong, they've been lied to, they've been brainwashed. They're just never going to accept it. And the reality is they don't have to, right? It doesn't really change their life at all to accept it or to not accept it. It doesn't. Like, nothing's going to change by this guy realizing he was wrong. Like, nothing's going to change in his day-to-day life. So he doesn't, it's not like a life or death situation where you must accept this fact or you're going to die. Like, it doesn't really change anything. So he's not forced to accept it. And so it just leaves us frustrated because we have to deal with people on a daily basis that don't accept reality for being reality in so many different ways, not just this 2020 stuff. But in so many different ways, these people just act as if reality does not exist. They think that they can just mold their own reality to whatever they feel like is the right thing. I guess it's ignorance is bliss, man. I guess it's ignorance is bliss situation, because we're the ones that are left frustrated while they're just happy in their little echo chamber and they don't have to accept reality.
And I love you too, and I have a tremendous respect for your intellect and everything, but there's a much greater chance of 1% that you're wrong. Okay? You seem to think that because it seems, and I'm not even going to admit that it is the truth, but it seems that a majority of voices are with your side. No one thought Hillary Clinton could win because, the poll said it was like 80% chance. Well, it's still 20% chance that it wasn't going to be Trump. It wasn't going to be Hillary. And that's what happened. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think it's even more with medical. You use the term misinformation. Whose misinformation? The misinformation that I got from the United States government?
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
I seem to remember 6 months when we were just all leaving our packages outside and rubbing it like it was a fucking stool sample or something. The natural immunity. You talk about other countries. Other countries have much more faith in natural immunity, which this country did up until this disease. Why are these opinions, which are shared by many millions of people, both laymen, who, by the way, a smart layman can know more than someone who, yes, did go to school. You could have graduated medical school in 1972 and not learned a thing since.
Mm-hmm. It's 100% facts what Bill Maher is stating right here, man. I'm so glad that he is starting to wake up and call these idiots out. But you could, at the very beginning of everything, right? You could give these people the benefit of the doubt because we didn't know what was happening. Most of us were left in the dark, and you could even say this about the government and the health officials, the health professionals. They don't exactly know how bad the virus is going to be and all that stuff. You can give them the benefit of the doubt, right? They were just erring on the side of caution. But years removed from this thing, and these people still can't admit that they were wrong. They still can't admit that, the government took that opportunity to see how much they could control us. They still can't admit that. There's still people out there who are doing the bidding of the government, of these people who are trying to control us for no reason. It wasn't for our health and safety. You can give them the benefit of the doubt at first, right? I'm willing to do that. Maybe they were just looking out for our health, and they were just erring on the side of caution, right? Being super cautious. You could make that argument, but years removed and they still can't admit that they were wrong. That's when you're just being bad faith. That's when you no longer get the benefit of the doubt. You just don't. And that's where this guy is right here. But luckily, there are people who it kind of backfired on them, because there's people out there now like Bill Maher, who that situation is what I believe to be kind of the turning point. And when Bill Maher actually started to wake up and started to call these people out on Club Random and Real Time with Bill Maher and all of these shows.
There's no law that you have to keep up.
And could have learned a lot of wrong-minded things along the way.
Right. And I think we were told a lot of wrong-minded.
Yeah, but it goes to a bigger question, because I'm looking at this guy over your shoulder. In terms of leadership, in terms of governance, in terms of media communication, What do we do next time where there is a threat?
First of all,
And we've got to get on the same team about something that nobody can know completely.
first of all, have the guts to tell the American people there's something bad going around. Here's what you can do. Here's how you can protect yourself. Don't stay home day drinking and overeating. That's going to have the reverse effect. The first thing I said in March of 2020, our last show on the air, I said...
You just picked two things that I did during COVID.
I said, sugar, stress, sleep. Stop eating sugar. Stress, don't stress about it more than we have to. Get sleep. And of course, people got unhealthier. So when you say 1 million Americans, yes, of course, but it's such a blinkered way of looking at health, because there are so many factors that go into whether you're healthy or not, or whether you are going to get felled by that disease. Millions of people never even knew they had it. Mm-hmm, Everyone has had it by now. It's a virus. It's everywhere. You're soaking in it. We're breathing it right now. Okay, so... Well, now I forgot.
That's okay. But what I can...
Well, there was the point that Bill Maher was trying to make right there, where he lost his train of thought, is that there was a million different reasons why so many people, it caused so many issues with people. And a very large reason of that is because people are so unhealthy in the country already. And then the advice that we were given from the health officials and professionals made us even more unhealthy, mentally, physically, in every way, right? And then also, I don't want to go into this too much, but the way that they were counting the deaths and things from the virus was not really a good faith way of counting them. I actually knew someone in my family who passed away during that time, and they definitely did not pass from that virus, right? I don't want to say like what happened, but they definitely didn't pass from that virus. And because they found a trace of the virus in them post-death or whenever they did, they counted it as a death from that virus. And if you do that on a large enough scale, because hospitals were given money, right? They were given money for having deaths from that virus. So obviously they were incentivized to show that they had deaths from the virus because they got money for it. That's not a good, healthy way to, attribute deaths and, the effects of a virus at all. That's very bad faith, and it's honestly evil. It's extremely corrupt, and there needs to be consequences. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about Bill Maher shutting down this woke idiot for the ridiculous takes that he had. Absolutely glorious to watch someone like Bill Maher shred one of his own people, because you just know that these people are going on Bill Maher's podcast here just expecting to continue to exist in their comfy little echo chamber, but when they get just a little bit too ridiculous, Bill Maher has to call them out, and it's glorious to watch. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Bill Maher versus this woke idiot Sean Penn here.